Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, welcome back to a live version. That's right, we are live yet again here at Fantasy Sports Daily. I am your host, as I am every day, Monday through Friday, Ray Flowers here on Fantasy Sports Daily. As you probably are well aware by now, we have changed the show time. Just one more time pointing it out. We're now going from 12 o'clock Eastern time in the morning, or I guess 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday here on the show. You can watch this live here on YouTube at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, live on Facebook at facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. In both of those positions, you can ask us a question. You can leave a comment. We'll address that at the end of the show. You can also follow us live on Instagram X at Fantasy Guru Site. That's at Fantasy Guru Site on Twitter X. And you can always find the show in your local podcast network. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily or go to fantasyguru.com and click that little tab at the top that says Elite Plus, and it'll take you to all the shows that we've got at the site that you can have access to. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. Hopefully you enjoyed Thursday and Friday. Hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend. We were able to, post the show on Thursday, which was our review of the all-time fantasy baseball team that Justin Fensterman and myself put together. You can still find that stored at the various places. So if you want to hear that discussion, I thought we put together a great team. Hopefully you enjoyed that discussion as well. Also did on Friday my review of my FSGA football draft. So if you're into football, and let's face it, most of you are, reviewed my team. What did you think? Let me know here in the comments. You can leave them at the website over at fantasyguru.com. Hit me up in Discord, answering questions there all day long, every day for football and for baseball. What are you doing today? Well, we're talking some MLB performance. We got some guys that are going up, some guys that are going down, some players that are moving into roles, some things to talk about. Brooks Lee, Ezequiel Tovar, Corbin Carroll. Again, some good, some bad. Luis Ortiz of the Pirates, Hayden Wesneski, Edward Cabrera, and Josh Hader. On the injury front, some good and some bad. Josh Hader, Carlos Correa, Parker Meadows, Jack Flaherty, Blake Snell, Clayton Kershaw, Jared Jones, Bailey Falter. The Pirates dealing with some things right now. We're also going to talk about the FAAB runs for Tout Wars, LABR, and FSGA. And I realize I've been saying all along, my Tout Wars is only 12-team league. It's not a 12-team league. It's a 15-team league, and I'm a doofus. So the Tout Wars team that I've been saying all along is a 12-team. My only 12-team league I'm in. Not true. It's a 15-teamer. So I've been dumb. I've been saying the wrong thing now for 3 months. We'll discuss Tout Wars, LABR, and FSGA and see how the FAAB runs went this week and who was added, what they were added for, and discuss the players themselves to kind of give you an idea of what should or could be expected from these players moving forward. Obviously, over at fantasyguru.com, before we get to that, the draft guide, air quotes, is available over at the site. The football product is rocking and rolling. My 4-piece article on By the Numbers is posted. I'm actually writing is it running back PPR myth? Yeah, running back PPR myth is this week. I've got my auction article coming out soon. I think the PPR running back myth piece is on the 15th, and then like another 10 days until my auction piece. And then we've got all the podcasts. I think they're going to start up around the 15th for that draft guide product. Now, remember, we call it a draft guide, but it's full season long. So you get the coverage all year long. You get the access to the live stream every Tuesday. You get access to the chat room 24/7. Just ask those questions. Almost always someone's in there answering questions. You ask a question at 3 a.m. Okay, maybe not. But most of the time, someone's in the chat room answering questions. We'll have auction values, IDP rankings, rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings. Did I mention rookie rankings? I don't know if I did all rookie ranking. We got all these rankings over there. And we'll continue to update those things and those scenarios and have discussions with you throughout the preseason. We've got a best ball package in the draft guide itself, so you can get best ball rankings. There's that dynasty work that Russell Clay has done. I don't know if we have any Scott Fishbowl directly. I'll have to look into that. I don't know if we have. My Scott Fishbowl league started this morning, and the first pick was Anthony Richardson. Someone going for broke there with the first pick in that draft. But bottom line is, if you want to discuss Scott Fishbowl or anything else, the Discord is always open at fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page, and you can get the DFS football package. You get the wagering football package. You can get the seasonal football package that we're talking about right here. You can get all the packages as well if you want to go all in. So check us out over at fantasyguru.com. All right, Let's talk about some of these fellows that are performing well, including Brooks Lee. Now, he is somebody that was mentioned here on the show previously. He's somebody that has been written about as well over at fantasyguru.com. And the bottom line is, with the situation with Royce Lewis, we don't know how much time he's going to miss, but they're calling his injury a grade 2 situation. Grade 2 situations usually take 4 to 6 weeks. So it's very reasonable to think Royce Lewis won't see the Major League Diamond again in the month of July. We shall see. Now, we talked a lot about what would happen, what would happen if everyone was healthy. Well, everyone's not healthy for the Twins now. So you got that. So Brooks Lee has been promoted. Long term, we start having some issues here about whether or not Brooks Lee would hold around, hang around, because obviously when Royce Lewis is healthy, he's back in the lineup on a daily basis. Jose Miranda recently just had 12 hits in a row. You saw that, right? 12 for 12 hits. His numbers are all of a sudden through the roof. If he keeps hitting, they're going to want to keep him in the lineup. Makes it tough for Brooks Lee-ish, especially if Austin Martin is healthy. Now, Austin Martin is beat up, so he's on the injured list. So the Twins are dealing with a lot of things. The bottom line is Brooks Lee is a upper-end major league prospect, not just an upper-end Twins prospect, an upper-end baseball prospect. He can hit, and we have seen that. He went 2 for 4 on Sunday. He's got a hit in all 5 of the games that he started at the major league level, batting .474 with 7 RBIs. He has been terrific. He's one of these players that let's comp him to, and this is just randomly tossing out because his name popped in my head. Alex Verdugo. He's one of these guys, 280, 15 home run hitter kind of guy. He's not somebody that is going to steal a ton of bases. He's not somebody that should be looked at as a 30 home run bat. Not that he couldn't develop that at some point, but that's right now he's just a really good hitter. And you hear Alex Verdugo when he struggled a little bit and you think he stinks. Okay, don't think that. Remember that Alex Verdugo is a 280 career hitter that's pretty good, right? That kind of hitter. But bottom line is right now he's white hot, and he should be added virtually everywhere. The Twins offense is rocking and rolling. They're starting to get production up and down the order. Brooks Lee is going to play at least in the short term every day. The question with Brooks Lee is how long does this last? And we say it all the time here on the show that you hit, you play. If Brooks Lee is hitting 360 when Royce Lewis returns, Brooks Lee is not going to get demoted. Brooks Lee's hitting 300. Is he going to get demoted? It's going to be tough to do that, right? You never know. So do you want to go all in with Brooks Lee and give you 30% of your budget and all that? Does he have the talent to pay that off? He does. It's about opportunity with him. But right now he's killing it and has to be added everywhere. And I'm not, like, even in a 10-team league, like most people in a 10-team league, you got a dead roster spot, or you got a guy you don't really love, or you're just looking at it and it's like, do I really want to hold this guy? Make the move to Brooks Lee. Ezequiel Tovar, who had a strong season last year and was off to a strong start this year. Woof. He doesn't have a hit in July. And again, it's July 8th, but that's not good. He's 6 for his last 50 with 1 extra base hit and 1 RBI. And in those 12 games, he's got no walks and 20 strikeouts. Ooh. This is what happens. Guys slump. Even the best players in baseball slump. This does happen more frequently to the guys that don't walk and that strike out. Now, Tovar's not a big strikeout guy, but there is something going on here where he doesn't take a walk. He expands the strike zone and he's striking out. 20 strikeouts in 12 games is not good. So he is just a dumpster fire right now. Is there anything acutely going on here that would lead me to think that this is not just a terrible 2 weeks? At this point, no. Now, again, if you're in a 10-team league and you're looking at that waiver wire and you want to make a move, I get it. In my leagues, I haven't seen Ezequiel Tovar dropped anywhere. I don't think anyone would consider dropping him in any of my leagues. If he was dropped, there'd be aggressive bidding to add him. He still is a very solid offensive performer, still has Coors Field. The weather's warming up, all these kind of things. But right now, he should not be in a starting lineup, shouldn't be in a DFS lineup, shouldn't be in a starting roto lineup. He has just been really, really terrible the last 2 weeks, and it's hard to be much worse. And that's saying something because we've seen a lot of pretty worse at the major league level. Speaking of worse, as we've talked about all year long, as everyone has talked about, it's one of the biggest topics in fantasy. Corbin Carroll. Okay. Corbin Carroll hit a home run against Dylan Cease on Sunday. That was his first home run in exactly a month. And I think it's only the second home run this season of like 380 feet or more. And he has just 1 home run of 400 feet. compared to, he had like 21 of them last year. So the shoulder, not the shoulder, mechanics, all these things. We've all been talking about this forever. What we're looking at right now with Corbin Carroll is we're looking at some terrible numbers. We're looking at a guy who, despite terrible numbers, could still steal 30 bases and score 90 runs, which all things considered would not be awful. Now, expectations-wise, it'd be terrible. Draft position-wise, terrible. Return on investment, terrible. Overall, would it be terrible? Again, given how bad he was to start, if he's hitting 210 like he is right now, that's not going to work. If that average is 265 the rest of the way, and if you look at his performance here, he hit 200 in May, then he hit 250 in June. We started to get a little interesting. The information started getting a little bit better. Scored 21 runs in 26 games. We go to July. It's been 6 games. Let's not get crazy. It's been 6 games. In 6 games, he's walked 1 time. He's hitting 179. And, we spent that one show here where I spent probably, 10, 12 minutes just breaking down the case with Carroll. And the fact is, as we've discussed many times, pulling the baseball in the air with oomph is just not something he's done. So, his pull rate is way down. He's lost 5% in his pull rate. His home run to fly ball ratio has gone 15% to 3%. His launch angle is only down a percentage point. So it's not a launch angle thing, but he's not hitting the baseball hard at all. His exit velocity is down. His hard hit rate is down. His barrel rate is down. His expected batting average is down. His expected slugging percentage is down. His expected WOBA is down. It's just all down. He's not driving the baseball effectively. Still not doing that. Just wanted to point out that he hit a home run. Let's get excited. It was off Dylan Cease, who allows home runs. I don't know. I'm really hopeful, though there's no scientific reasoning to support what I'm about to say, that Corbin Carroll gets a couple of days off at the All-Star break and comes back and is better. That's about all we got. That's about all we got right now is a hope on something that's not even scientifically accurate or real. Half the season, Corbin Carroll's been terrible. It's just amazing. Luis Ortiz of the Pirates, and we'll talk in a little bit about a couple of his mates there in the rotation. 6 shutout innings against the Mets, and now this is starting to get really interesting. That's 3 outings in a row where Ortiz has not walked a batter, which is huge. Ortiz has got a nice arm. He really does. He's had a lot of starts and stops because of health. He's had a lot of issues, walking, and he's controlling the strike zone. He's been a starter. He's been a reliever. Something here. And when you have a power arm, you can always be dreamed on, right? That's the difference between, Luis Ortiz and Kyle Hendricks, right? Like Kyle Hendricks goes bad and it's just over. Luis Ortiz goes bad and it's like, well, okay, but he still throws 97 miles an hour. Let's give this guy a chance. Let me see if I can get him up here. Here we go, Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, let's look at his numbers to date. He's only made the 2 starts, but again, hasn't watched anybody 3 starts. He's only made 2 starts, but let's pull it up so I have it exactly. His last, where's the game log? Right? Learn how to read the website. He had followed an opener. So his last 3 outings have been 6-2 in 2 innings, 6-2 in 6 innings, excuse me. Actually, I misspoke there. It was, I think, 4 starts ago where he followed the opener. Then he started and went 6 innings. Then he was utilized out of the bullpen, and then he went back to starting on Sunday. So his last and only 2 starts this season. He's gone 6 innings in both outings, allowed 1 run, hasn't walked anybody, and has 12 strikeouts in 12 innings. There was a time, started 2013, 15 months ago, where it's like Ortiz, it's a big arm. We like this. And then the performance last year was just bad. It was just bad. He didn't miss bats. He walked too many guys, and then we started to think, is this going to be another one? Because let's be honest about this. The Pirates have had a really difficult time, whether this is fair or not. Very difficult time homegrown pitching. Let's just say it that way. It took Garrett Cole to leave to really, explode. They've got Skeens and Jones now, so okay, but those guys are such tremendous talents. Is it the way they're teaching him? Keller took a long time to find his footing. So there's some concern about, do the Pirates develop pitching? Now, maybe Ortiz is one of these guys that's going to come around a little bit later. And when I say a little bit later, he's 25. 6'2", 230, 25 years old. He's got a live arm. He throws really hard. He's got really good stuff. He's got the ability to miss bats. We shall see. But right now, with the landscape, because again, you'll see here, I bid on myself. With the landscape, the way it is, a guy with 3 good outings with this stuff, someone you consider adding, which is how it is. especially when you're in a deep league. In a 10-team league, maybe not. Actually, in a 10-team league, you wouldn't. In a 12-team league, probably not. In a 14, 15-team league, if you're in a league only, Luis Ortiz. Hayden Wesneski is another guy that I've always liked. We talked about him here on the show many times. Would he stick in the rotation or not? Not sure. But when you throw 6 in the third innings and you allow 1 base hit, you're sticking in the rotation. Let's be honest about that right now. He got 18 in a row out at one point in this game. First win in the 6th start of the season. He had a couple victories, as a reliever. But he has the talent, I should say. He hasn't been really good if you look at the numbers, but he has the talent to be an every time through the rotation starter that helps you a lot in fantasy space. And he's interesting because he's 26 and, he made 11 starts last year and was utilized out of the bullpen 23 times. He's made 6 starts. He's been utilized out of the bullpen 17 times. They've kind of used him as a back and forth kind of guy. His numbers this year with that strong effort yesterday, all of a sudden his ERA is 3.7 and his WHIP is 1.1. Again, pretty good. The strikeout rate's about 23%. It's about league average. He allows a little bit on the high end for the fly ball rate, 40%, which is not catastrophic by any means. But a 12% launch angle, 40% fly ball rate can lead to some problems at Wrigley at times, right? When the wind is blowing out, we all know how it plays. But he's very effective. Again, he's very effective. First career, he's about a 2.9 strikeout to walk ratio guy. And I really like the pitch mix. So it's a matter of how long does he stay in the rotation. But again, as I noted, when you do what he did yesterday, how do you take that kind of guy out, right? They're going to have Imanaga, Steele, Tyone in the rotation. They have Kyle Hendricks in there now. They've got Ben Brown hopefully coming back from the neck issue. They've got Javier Assad hopefully coming back at some point from the forearm issue. They've got Jordan Wicks, the oblique. So they've got 3 guys who could start. Now, Ben Brown, unfortunately, might have lost his opportunity to start because guys are starting to get healthy, right, and starting to perform. And we have seen Brown be a long reliever out of the bullpen and have a lot of success doing that. So, we talked about it with Kyle Hendricks. Could Kyle Hendricks have success out of the bullpen given his pitch mix, his stuff? So he's kind of got to start or not. Like, if it comes down to Brown or Hendricks, what do they do? It won't matter if Assad and Wicks are healthy because if they decide with Wesneski's in this rotation. But as you can see here, we got 8-9 guys we're talking about. And, what are the odds these guys stay healthy, that when Wicks gets healthy, that, Hendricks doesn't get hurt or whatever, right? This is always evolving. I would not be surprised if Wesneski made 10 starts the rest of the way. Can't guarantee it. Would I like him to just be locked in this rotation? Yeah, I really would. And I think he'd have success doing it. But I just don't know how the Cubs are going to play this. They got a lot of options they're dealing with right now. But great effort from him. Speaking about a team that, I don't know how many times we could talk about the Florida Marlins and the catastrophic nature of their pitching staff. Right now, they technically have 4 starting pitchers right now. Brian Hoeing, Yanni Chirinos, Trevor Rogers, and Edward Cabrera, who we're going to talk about in a second. That's shockingly bad. And again, that's only 4 guys. On their injury list right now, Ryan Weathers just got moved to the 60-day injury list, so now he's out till September, I think. Sixto Sanchez is on the injury list. Yuri Perez is on the injury list. Jesus Luzardo's on the injury list. Braxton Garrett's on the injury list. Sandy Alcantara's on the injury list. Alcantara, Garrett, Luzardo, Perez were their top 4 pitchers coming into the season. They're all on the injury list. So the 5th guy would have been Edward Cabrera. Cabrera returned to action yesterday after spending time on the injury list himself. Will he be dealt? Certainly possible. The Marlins have nothing to play for this year. He is a 26-year-old guy with a live arm. Edward Cabrera, when does he become a free agent? He becomes a free agent in 2029. They got that control over him forever. So he's attractive. He gave a couple runs and 4 hits over 3 2/3 innings against the White Sox. Too bad he wasn't more in the groove to face the White Sox, as we're all aware. That's a beatable opponent, but was effective. 14 whiffs on 35 swings for a 40% whiff rate, 32% CSW, really good numbers. The deal with him is when he fills the strike zone, and he did yesterday, very tough to hit. He's a very difficult pitcher to get a handle on when he fills the strike zone. When he doesn't fill the strike zone, which unfortunately for him is the case the majority of the time, he struggles. His career walk rate per 9 is 5.4. This year it's 5.4. It's brutally bad. 13+% walk rate is brutally bad, and it's why his whip is 1.5 since the start of last season. Could he make a tweak here or there? Could he lock in and make 5 great starts in a row? 100%. 100% he could do that. Same time, there has been injury / inconsistency the duration of his 4 years at the big league level. So I consider and break down his pitch mix, and we could do that. But the truth of the matter is, whatever we say and break down, at the end of the day here, it doesn't matter without consistency. And he has shown no consistency at all in 4 years at staying healthy or consistently executing his pitches. Live arm. And I would really appreciate the opportunity for him to get traded, to get a new pitching coach, to get a new organization talking to him. Hope they'd make a tweak here or there, because you love the stuff. But it's just not happening. Though, again, he took a step yesterday. We'll see. And he might be using him in the second half because everyone's hurt on the mound. Josh Hader allowed a run yesterday. They brought into the game a tie game with the, tie game and allowed a home run to Christian Vasquez. Hader's got a 4.2 ERA. He's got 15 saves. He's pitched much better the last month and a half. But he's got a 4 ERA and 15 saves. I mean, Josh Hader's on pace for a 4.1 ERA and 28 saves this year. Like, ugh. Been rough. Again, much better than he was at the start of the season. I think he's up to 5 losses now, though. Like, the Astros are not getting what they paid for. At least he's healthy, and overall he's been effective, but woefully underperforming based upon expectations. Again, this is not a Corbin Carroll situation by any means, but it's a disappointing situation. That the top two of the top 3 closers, Clase, Diaz, and Hader, 2 of the top 3 closers on draft day, 2 of them, one of them stinks. One of them is average, and one of them is great. And you spend a 3rd or 4th round pick on that. Oof, just don't get it. Okay, let's talk some of the injured players. Julio Rodriguez, one of the stars of this game, who, like Corbin Carroll, has struggled this year, though not to the same extent. Has a quad issue. He had an MRI done. They didn't find anything significant there. So the understanding that we have right now with Julio Rodriguez is he should be good to go here in very short order and return to the starting lineup. There's not an expectation of an injury list situation that's occurring, anything like that. Victor Robles is probably next man up if indeed something were to happen to Julio Rodriguez. Victor Robles is an intriguing talent that we've talked about a lot. I have talked about a lot over the years of talking about him. Nowhere near the bat, obviously, of Julio, but he can run like Julio. So he is someone to file away if the team does do something surprising and place Julio Rodriguez on the injured list. That would be the guy I would kind of say, well, let's look at him. But again, the news with Julio Rodriguez, for what it is positive. We'll continue to monitor that. Again, it's 9:30 in the morning on the West Coast. I haven't got an update today, but that's the expectation that Rodriguez should return to the starting lineup in short order. Keep those fingers crossed that does indeed happen for the Mariners. Carlos Correa, say with me, Ole! This happened. It's happening on a daily basis, right? You understand why I keep talking about the fact that these guys don't ever turn their damn shoulder in. Carlos Correa got an up and in fastball, did the tilt back thing, got blasted on the hand. Given that it's Carlos Correa, and given the fact that he's dealt with so many injuries over the years, the assumption when that happened was OS, right? Let's be honest. It was OS. They ran tests, and they said they're clean. And Correa himself said that he hopes to play the next game. So let's go. That's great to hear with Carlos Correa. Now, whether or not that's the case, we shall see. Did he wake up today with swelling in his hand? Did he wake up today and say, it doesn't feel right, we got to do some more tests? Is he just going to get some rest here because his hands are sore? He's been fantastic for, a month and a half now. But yeah, these guys, broken record city, Ray, and it keeps happening on a daily basis. Turn your damn front shoulder in, folks. Don't leave your hands out to get hit by a pitch. Parker Meadows was somebody that, I in the community, it wasn't just me. The community is pretty high on Parker Meadows coming into the year. And we all kind of said, and he's on my Dynasty League team, we all kind of said that if everything comes together here, this guy could bat first or second and go 20-20. Like, he's got the ability to do this. Now, there are holes in his game. He might hit 240, right? But he's got power and speed. And he started out poorly for the Tigers. Was surprisingly, not surprisingly based on performance, but based upon expectations, surprisingly demoted to the minors. Went down to the minors, made a tweak in his swing, and started blasting away again. And they finally recall him, and it's like, all right, my schedule usually is like Friday evening, afternoon. I start looking at the waiver wire for my leagues. I usually put in some bids on Friday evening, Saturday morning and then revisit everything on Sunday afternoon. And I did that process. So I have Parker Meadows in the one league he's available, or two leagues he's available. And I'm getting all ready to go and put that in on Saturday, I think is this week. Head back on Sunday. And what do we got? Well, we got a scenario where now he's hurt. Guy lasted 3 days. And again, 9:30 in the morning here on the West Coast on a Monday. I don't know what's going on with Parker Meadows. I know that he was removed from the game with a hamstring injury. I know it was multiple days here. And boom, there's the injury. I was answering a question in Discord this morning. I don't know. I mean, Parker Meadows might be okay. He might have a short stay on the DL or IL, excuse me. He might miss a month. I don't have that information now, so I can't tell you. I'm pretty likely we'll get some confirmation today. Now the problem is games start in 10 minutes. So depending upon how your league is set up, and not all leagues are set up where you can stagger guys as long as they haven't started. Some leagues lock your lineup when the first game starts for the day. I don't know. If that's the case and you're hearing me right now and it's like you got Parker Meadows on your team, get him out of the lineup because we just don't know. If you spent FAAB money on him, fingers crossed. Very disappointing timing here because, again, this was somebody that looked like he was in a good spot, going to play every day. We're going to get the guy that we thought we were getting back on draft day, and he tweaked his hamstring. So here we go. Jack Flaherty, his teammate, remember he had the second injection. I don't know if it was cortisone. I don't know. Second injection in his shoulder. They backed him off a start. He's now scheduled to start on Thursday against the Guardians. He missed a start last week against the Twins. We'll see. I mean, the All-Star break is coming up. All that kind of stuff. The expectation now is that, he's limping into the All-Star break-ish. And they say he'll start on Thursday. Here's the thing. Is he 100% going to make that start? I don't know. If he goes out there and his velocity's down a mile or two at the start, do they let him go 5 or 6 innings? If he has a rough start to the game, location-wise, whatever, do they let him go 5 or 6 innings? They got the All-Star break coming up. So I'd be very cautious with starting him this week. And I'd also be cautious starting him against the Guardians, who have been a very good team this year, obviously, and whose offense is really clicking in many respects right now. The Giants get Blake Snell back on Tuesday. At least that's the expectation. He was down with a groin injury this time, missed about a month. Again, as we've discussed here on the show, all of us, terrible, terrible season thus far, 9.6 ERA for the Giants. Entering July, having not made a start of 5 innings for the Giants after they paid him $30 million. Supposed to start on Tuesday. We'll see. Tired of talking about him. Clayton Kershaw threw 2 simulated innings on Sunday. That went well in his return from the shoulder issue. Remember, he had that 1 week slowdown, but he's back to throwing now. He's continuing to make progress from that shoulder surgery. Dave Roberts said that the next outing for Kershaw will probably be 3 simulated innings. Then he's expected to make a couple of starts and hopefully be back right at the end of July, start August. Let's say August for Kershaw. But I think it's very reasonable to think that, early August, he's back on the mound, pitching very effectively because he always has when healthy through all his injuries. Clayton Kershaw. Ben Cherington told reporters when it comes to Jared Jones, who has a lat issue, that the return will be in weeks, not days. We heard a grade 2 lat strain for Jared Jones. Again, this is something that I think and I fear we're going to deal with a lot in the second half, where I'm not saying Jones isn't injured. I think he is injured. Could he return in 3 weeks? Maybe. Are they going to take 5? Maybe. You know what I mean? It's like, let's save the arm. We're being realistic here. We're not going to make the playoffs this year. It would take something unexpected in the second half for the Pirates to make the playoffs. So how aggressive are they going to be in pushing this guy to return? If he has any kind of, it's another week, right? That's just because they can't blow this guy out, right? They know that. But the bottom line is, I think you have to expect at this point, there's no possible chance he's pitching again in July for the Pirates. And his return in August is up in the air. He's been great. He was a terrific waiver wire find. Unfortunately, this, youngster and injuries and all that kind of stuff. If he were to not throw another pitch until September, hypothetically, still a win this year. He's been terrific. But you're going to have to make moves now because it is, again, a grade 2 strain is likely 4 to 6 weeks. That's kind of what the general, and again, that's not what it always is, but 4 to 6 weeks is kind of the general assumption with a grade 2 lat issue. So we'll see. His teammate, Bailey Falter, was placed on the injured list with a left posterior arm discomfort issue. So obviously he's out. Brent Honeywell was called up to take his spot on the roster. Ray, who cares about Bailey Falter? I care about Bailey Falter. I have him in multiple leagues. And if you're in a deeper league, you have him too. Has he been good this year? Nah. But he's got a 4.1 ERA and a 1.2 whip. And he's fallen into the JP Sears zone of a guy that you're using, and he's effective and okay. Is he exciting? No. Is he sexy? No. But this is why when we were talking earlier about Luis Ortiz, he becomes so interesting because we don't have a timetable for return for Bailey Falter. We don't have a timetable for return for Jared Jones. Luis Ortiz is in the rotation. Like, it's Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Martin Perez, and I don't even know what they're going to do. They've got Quinn Priester out, Jared Jones out, Bailey Falter out, Marco Gonzalez, Johan Oviedo. Like, they've got 5 potential starters on the injured list themselves. So Luis Ortiz is somebody that even if he's league average, seems to me, at least for the next month, is in this rotation for the Pirates. And the Pirates playing solid baseball. You know, give them credit. I just said they're not going to make the playoffs, and I don't think they will, but they're playing solid baseball. So that's not the worst thing in the world to hear if Luis Ortiz does indeed stick in that rotation. All right, let's talk a little bit FAAB here. Let's discuss Tout Wars, which again is a 15-team league. I made that adjustment. Sorry for misleading all of you the whole time through. This is a standard league, 5x5, though. The league is innings pitched instead of victories, on-base percentage instead of batting average, and solds instead of saves. Okay, and as you can see here, let's run through the names. Tyler Freeman for $2. It's a $1,000 budget. Tyler Freeman for $2. Who cares? Mr. Daniel of the Angels actually pitches today, and he'll be in the cash game breakdown. The cash game breakdown will be up today for fantasyguru.com. My goodness, is this slate today atrocious? The question, and I already started to write it. The question today for DFS purposes is, do you play Chris Snell, who legitimately is the only guy you look at and say, yeah, like legitimately the only one of the 10, or do you pay down and go for your offense? That's the decision today, folks. Daniel's pitching today. For $1, I don't mind that in Tout Wars. If you add these guys, let's just say it in Tout Wars. If you add a player, they have to be starting this week. You can't remove them from your lineup this week. They have to be starting. He faces Texas today, and later in the week faces Seattle. Much better second matchup, though. The first matchup against Texas, they've really struggled offensively for the most part of the season too, and can't get everyone going at once. So I like that pickup more than the Freeman pickup. Lee here went for 178. So 18% of the budget, that sounds about right. 18 to 25% sounds about right for Brooks Lee. We broke him down at the start of the show if you missed it. Suarez went for $41. That was the same zone. I ended up with Ortiz of the righty that we've been talking about here. I was 39 there. I think I had Suarez at 36. So I was in the right price point. I just favored Ortiz over Suarez. We'll see. I mean, both these guys are kind of spotty again in a 15-team league. Ortiz this week is set to face, let me pull it up, Chicago White Sox in Chicago. It's pretty attractive, right? In the case of Suarez is set to face the Cubs in Baltimore. So that's why I went a couple extra bucks there. Freddie Fermin for $17, solid addition there. Miguel Vargas for $13. Mauricio Dubon for $1. Chris must be dealing with some injury issues because both those guys boring-ish, but they qualify at multiple spots. Remember, this is the Solds League. So Zach Steinhorn getting Andrew Kittredge. He's one of the leaders in holds, so that's a solid pickup for $5. Solano for $3 to the Siege. He qualifies at multiple spots. He's been playing every day. He's been effective the last couple of weeks. Doesn't run, doesn't have power. $3 here. So this is a get me through to the All-Star break kind of thing. Totally fine with that. Birdsong for $11 for Van Riper. Birdsong has been effective for the Giants. Has he done anything to get anybody excited? No. The issue for him is Blake Snell should return. But even if Blake Snell's returned, I think Birdsong stays in the rotation. The problem for Birdsong, obviously, is what happens when Cobb or Ray come back. Because remember, the Giants also are getting Harrison back this week. So there's a chance, Birdsong's expected to stick for now, but there's a chance to come in on the All-Star break. He's not in the rotation. In his 14 and the third innings, he struck out 15 guys, which is a little bit better than expectations. Unfortunately, he's given up 3 home runs and walked 7 guys, so his whip is 1.5. But again, Derek Van Riper here making a move, short-term pickup for him at a very reasonable price point. O'Neill for $2, Tyrone Taylor for $9. Again, short-term pickups. I went Singleton for 26. Ray, you're stupid. Singleton, if you would have told me that 2 months ago, yeah, that would have been stupid. Right now, though, and again, I'm looking for a short-term pickup here. As you can see, I lost Luis Rengifo, who's been my corner infielder. He's actually been moved all over the place, but he was at corner infield most recently for me. I need a replacement with him going on the injured list, and went John Singleton. John Singleton, remember this is an on-base percentage league. The last 14 games he has played, John Singleton's hitting .333 with a .420 on-base percentage. Got 10 runs scored his last 14 games. He's got a .425 on-base percentage the last 2 weeks with 8 runs the last 11 games, 2 home runs. So he's been effective, and Lo Profito hasn't taken his job. So, again, $26 here short term. We'll see if I can catch some lightning in a bottle. If not, Bailey Falter was injured, so I went Ortiz. There we go. We talked about that repeatedly. So that was a decision that was made there. All right, let's go to the next league. It's the 15-team LABR League. James Wood went for $41 out of 100. So James Wood went for 41%. In this league, LABR, if the rookie is drafted and held on to, you can keep him. Once the draft is done, if the rookie is not on your team, you can't add them until they're promoted to the big league. So at no point after the draft was anyone allowed to pick up James Wood. You had to draft him and hold him the whole time, or we had to play this game of when he gets called up, we have to bid. Interestingly enough, Fred Zinke getting him at 41, I can't bid that price point in LABR. I think I was down to like $30, 31, 29, something like that to start the week. So I couldn't get involved. I've had to plug holes all the way through. I'm surprised no one else went above 27 there. We had multiple bids of 27 for 27% for Wood. That's obviously a difference-making player. We've already seen it. He's doing things on the bases. He's doing things at the dish. He's showing maturity. We've talked a lot about James Wood. 41%. Was aggressive. 31% would have got him, but I'm not surprised, as we discussed last week with James Wood. I'm not surprised at all if he went for 40% here. Brooks Lee went for 9. Again, another player that I would have loved to get involved with. I just didn't have the funds to do it. As you can see there were failed bids of 6, 6, 6, 8. So everyone was right around that price point. The uncertainty with Brooks Lee and that playing time that we discussed earlier on the show being the reason I think the number wasn't higher. Parker Meadows went for $4. Hey, man, like I said, I was bidding on Parker Meadows in this league. I pulled back my bid. Because let me tell you as well, in LABR, when you add a guy off the waiver wire, he's got to be in your lineup this week. So if you add Parker Meadows this week and he's placed on the injured list today, you can't replace him. You just take a 0 all week. So that's why I backed out. It's like, look, I'd love to add him. I think my bid was $3, maybe it was 3 or 4. I think I had it at 4 and then I knocked it down to 3 and then the injury happened and I just removed my bid. But as you can see here, no one else bid for Meadows because of the fact that you have to have him active this week, whether he's playing or not. Yariel Rodriguez to Zach Steiner for $3. Good pickup. Rodriguez has been very good his 2 starts. There's concerns that in the second half about where his workload's going to end up. As we discussed here on the show, I believe it was last week with Rodriguez. They just didn't. The last couple of years hasn't thrown many pitches. So will he get moved to the bullpen at some point, transition out that way? But he's been very effective. Good pickup at that price point. Rowdy Tellez went for 3. One of the bids was me. I think I was $2 for Rowdy Tellez. Let me make sure. I say that I bid on Rowdy Tellez in leagues. Let me make sure. I hate doing that. I say something and then it's like, no, that's not accurate. Let me look. What did I do here? In this league, I had $1. The dollar bid. So I was one of the dollar bids on him. I was one of the dollar bids on John Singleton because remember in this league, I was down to like $30. I just didn't have a lot. Only had 30% of my budget left. So I was a failed bid. I was one of the failed bids you see there. I was the failed bid for Singletary. Dr. Roto beat me out for $1 there. What did I end up doing? Well, I ended up getting Justin Henry Malloy for $1 and Lennon Sosa for $1. And whoopee-doo, I know. It's a 15-team mixed league, guys and gals. This is what we got. Guys playing every day. Let's go. Sosa's like 11 for his last 25. He's hitting 400 last week. And he's got multi-position eligibility. So something there with the loss of Singleton. The loss of Rengifo. AJ Puck, Ryan Walker for $1. Good addition there for Puck. Remember, as we talked about, it's likely that Tanner Scott gets traded. I don't think AJ Puck gets traded. And Puck has pitched extremely well of late. And it's very feasible to me, at least, to see him become the closer. I bid on him in multiple leagues this week. I got pitchers ahead of him that I bid on, like Ortiz, right, in LABR. In Tout Wars. So I was bidding on Puck. I just was outbid, or I got guys ahead of him. Moving on to the FSGA list. Let's talk about that league. In that league, in this $1,000, Brooks Lee went for 71. Remember, we went, so that's 7%. It was 9% bid in the last league. So right in that same spot. As you can see, there was a bunch of bids, 39, 37, 41, 26, bunch of bids there. Rowdy Tellez goes for 57. Failed bids for him. The highest one was 18. There are 4 other bids for Tellez. Tellez has been really good. And he's a limited player who, it's a platoon kind of guy. But look at him, man. The last 23 games he has played, and again, he's only got 73 at-bats in the 23 games, but 342, 6 home runs, 16 RBIs. He's 7 for his last 17 with 3 home runs. The last 2 weeks, he's hitting 324 with 5 homers and 10 RBIs. He's really performing well right now. Will it last? No. Is he a difference maker? No. Is he a strong pickup right now if you've got injuries to the corner infield spot? Absolutely. He is absolutely. Now, the problem with him, obviously, is Rowdy Tellez could easily become Rowdy Tellez, which is a guy with 30 home run power who's a 220 hitter. He could be that guy next week. I don't think we should get blinded by the fact he's had a good 3-4 weeks here, but he has had a good 3 or 4 weeks. He is in a very nice groove. And again, we're at that point of the year where we're plugging holes a lot, sticking our finger in the dam, excuse me. Colin Ray is awarded to Ray Flowers for $34. Woohoo, Ray. I need pitching, man. Let's pull up my FSGA league. I should have listed there who I lost this week to injury. I lost Bailey Falter this week. So Bailey Falter's replaced. Bailey Falter was added to replace. I'm trying to remember who I initially had. Bailey Falter, I think, was added to replace an injured Jesus Luzardo. And then I had to add Ray this week to replace injured Bailey Falter. And this is something we're all dealing with, right? Like your backups get picked up and they get hurt. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the old FSGA league on the injured list. Picked up Carlos Ray, who obviously goes into my starting rotation this week. Where is he? There he, Colin Ray. I should learn how to talk. Not Carlos Ray, idiot Ray. Yeah, don't be dumb. Colin Ray. Colin Ray's been very effective. He faces the Pirates this week. His ERA on the year is 3.4. His WHIP is 1.2. We've talked about him on the show. Is he sexy or exciting? No. He has pitched his last 5 games with a 2.90 ERA and a .88 WHIP. He's throwing strikes. He's around the strike zone. He's, with the team that's, got some good vibes going right now with the Brewers. And again, it's a solid matchup this week against the Pirates. So he's into my lineup there. All right. Let's see here. Let me see if I can do something here too. Yeah, I can't do that. All right. Never mind. A personal note. Back to the bidding. James Outman, $26. We'll see if he can recapture his glory. Jason Hayward's been placed on the injured list, so Outman should play consistently here, at least in the short term, once Hayward's healthy. Where does Outman fit? That's, again, the issue. $26 out of $1,000. If you can get 2 weeks out of him, that's totally fine. So I'm not saying it was a bad bid at all, but it's tough to envision a scenario where he supplants Jason Hayward for a spot in the rotation, the outfield rotation, if you will, with the Dodgers. But finally seemed to have found a stroke down at the farm after a really terrible start to the season, James Outman. Leody Taveras went for 23. Now, Taveras has got a better outlook in terms of playing time long term. Outman is just as exciting, if not more exciting, because he has more power overall. But I would have leaned the Leody Taveras bid for 23 because that's just, James Outman, that playing time situation with him has me concerned. Max Schumann goes for 22. Adam Duvall for 21. Zach Liddell for 16. I was the failed bid at 11 for him. As we noted, I got Colin Ray, so it wouldn't matter. AJ Puck went for 15. Let's put my bidding here in this FSGA league so I can accurately tell you what I was doing. So I had Zach Liddell for $9. I had Rowdy Tellez for $6. I had Brooks Lee for $41. I had Leody Taveras for $6, and I didn't have a bid on Outman. The reason why my bidding is lower is because it's another league because of freaking injuries. I'm all kinds of beat up. I'm down to 260 of my $1,000 left. Basically the half point of the season. So I wasn't able to bid aggressively on some of these guys. Back to the bidding, $15 for AJ Puck. Strong bid there by addition by Sherpa. Jordan Hicks for $11. How long does Hicks stay in the rotation? We've talked about it a lot. It's $11. We're playing a matchup this week. Totally fine. Ez is for 7. Carrasco for 7. Same idea there. All 3 of those guys were just playing a matchup this week. Matt Wallner goes to Adam Ronis, Josh Rojas to the NFBC team, and then Parker Meadows for 3. I don't mind that at all in the FSGA league because you can put him on the injured list. That's actually a pretty smart addition. You can add him this week for $3. If he ends up getting hurt, you don't have to start him this week in the FSGA. You can put him on the bench. So you can just add him and stash him. If he gets hurt, you put him on the IL and you make a move next week to replace him. You've only lost $3. If you have an outfield that you weren't going to necessarily need him this week anyway, I don't mind that. In fact, I think that's a pretty smart bid there by the USA Today team. So that's where we're at. So that's the FAAB rundown. Let's hit your comments and questions here before we end things. Remember, Fantasy Sports Daily is Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Every day after this show, well, every day but Wednesday after this show, I go and write up the cash game breakdown for fantasyguru.com. I then do some bets at fantasyguru.com for baseball. I'll have a Rays Ramblings piece later today at fantasyguru.com. The Elite Sports Show with Jeff Manns is Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 to 6. This week, I'll be on Wednesday, as I am every week on Wednesdays. This week, I'll actually be hosting. It'll be me and Ted Schuster for 3 hours. So 3 hours of talking for Ray then. The Elite Sports Game Time Show with Justin Festerman is again, if you're looking for it, it's over. That ended last week. That was the plan all along. No bad blood, no ill will, no rug pulled out. We knew it was going to be a short-term show because they're changing the lineup for football. So that show will be over. But the Jeff Mann show is available Monday through Friday, and this show will be available Monday through Friday. Doug M says, morning. Morning, Doug. Morning, Angelo. Mark Peterson says, why don't give John Boyle a chance? Or Joe Boyle, I can't speak. Joe Boyle, who's on my Dynasty League team, and again, we have 45 roster spots, is an A's farmhand, and he's 6'7", 250 pounds. He throws 90 miles an hour. Like his fastball, slider combination, even his curveball, like he's got 3 pitches that are banging pitches. And there's a reasonable expectation that he's going to end up being a 3rd or 4th starter at the big league level. Now, the problem is his command is hideous. And we saw this earlier this season. He, made 27 innings of work for the A's. He walked 23 guys. Terrible. Now, it's the Athletics. There's nothing to play for. There's no reason to avoid using him at this point in time if he's capable of getting outs. Let's look at his work down on the farm. And, Mark, this is why we're not giving Boyle a chance. In 7 starts down at AAA, his ERA is 11, and he's walked 25 guys in 15 innings. He's worse than at the big league level. He just can't. So things are so bad with Boyle. I gave consideration, to be upfront, I gave consideration to dropping Boyle last night, to pick up Luis Ortiz, who is available in the Dynasty League. Because Boyle, my God, he's got 48 walks this year in 42 innings. And the problem with him is that we're now in year 4 of his major league career or his professional career. And this control issue is not going away. He's on the edge of becoming a reliever because, they'll say to him, you got 3 pitches that are banging here, kid. Let's get fastball slider you up. Let's fastball curveball you up and just go with that. We'll come in. Your job will just be to, just to hell, throw your fastball. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go. You don't have to save anything. You don't have to show different looks. You don't have to work through a lineup twice. We're getting close to that point with Joe Boyle, and it's disappointing because he's got a live arm. He's only 24, but he's pitched like butt this year. Mark Peterson, I could picture Cabrera with the Yankees. Yeah, you can picture everyone with the Yankees. And the Yankees need to. It's interesting. I go on social media, and it's like, the Yankees, they have the 3rd most wins in baseball, 4th most wins in baseball, whatever it is. And it's like they've played really poorly of late. They're still like 18 games over 500. Like, the expectations for people are so I see people saying, well, Aaron Boone's a terrible manager because they always start hot and get cold, as if that's a thing. People are starting to panic. I think part of the panic is because the Mets are also, since McMuffin or whatever the hell, McGriff, I don't remember what the purple guy's name was. Since he showed up and the Mets started playing better baseball, now we got to look across town for the Yankees, and they're playing better ball. The Yankees need to make some moves. We've all talked about that. We know that. Cabrera would be a great addition. And the question comes down to, what do the Marlins ask? Because remember, as we said earlier, what was it, 2029? They have control over him. So they have control over him forever. That's a long time. Is that really right? That doesn't seem right. Does that seem right to anyone else besides? Does it seem wrong to anyone else besides me? Let me verify that as we're looking at this. Yeah, geez. This is his 4th season at the big league level, but he's got 1.15 years of service time. Jeez. Poor guy. Is controlled through 2025. He becomes arbitration eligible next year. Next up, Tony C. Ray, I hope you had a great 4th. cash game today for the 640 slate. Yep, you got it, Tony. It's a mess. It's a freaking mess. It's a 5-game slate, and the 5-game slate is the minimum for the cash game breakdown over at fantasyguru.com. So we will have one. And I'm legitimately looking at this pitching, and it's Chris Sale or bust. And, he's 11,500 on FanDuel, which is a massive number. Do we pay it? Because the rest of these pitchers, the certainty level is so low. It'll be out later today in the cash game breakdown at fantasyguru.com. Eric S. By the way, Eric, I hope you had a good time at Strongwater. Yeah, that was my own mug. I pulled it out, and I realized I created a GIF without even knowing how to create a GIF. I should have spun the mug around, but I hope you had a good time there on your holiday weekend. In the redraft league, is having anyone still rostered on IL spot but on a 60-day injury list in reality still worth holding? I think no, but would like to hear your thoughts. Well, I think that, if the return date is September 2nd, if the return date is August 5th, so I think it depends there. I think it also depends, Eric, how many injured list spots do you have? Is it unlimited? Is it 2? Is it 5? It also matters who the player is. If you were someone that drafted Jacob deGrom, there's no point to get rid of Jacob deGrom at this point. I don't know why you did it, but there's no reason to get rid of him at this point. But I think, Eric, comes down to how many spots you have. Do you have open spots, whichever way you have it? Do you have open spots for it, and who the player is? Also depends if you're in a keeper league, right? Because obviously you don't want to be giving up somebody. Don't want to give up Jacob deGrom in a keeper league, okay. But I think for the most part, the answer would be, again, if someone's out until September, I'm highly unlikely to hold them unless I just have space. If the return is August and we're getting 6-8 weeks out of them potentially, I think I'd still probably hold on. Rubby17 said, I dropped Jared Jones in an IL spot for Rengifo and picked up Thorpe. I don't like that. Now, again, everyone's got to do what they've got to do, and IL spots are what they are. You can't drop Rengifo. Jared Jones, again, grade 2 lat strain, probably 4 to 6 weeks. Probably. It could be 3. It could be 8, likely. I don't know. So I understand the reluctance there, but, Drew Thorpe has been very effective. Let's pull him up. He's been very effective in 2 of his 3 starts, if I'm saying that right. I think he's made 3, right? It's not 3 or 4. Yeah. He's made 5 starts. Jeez, Ray. He has been effective. Last time out, it was really good against Miami. That's a winnable matchup. The time out before that, he was successful against Colorado, winnable matchup. The time before that against Detroit, that was impressive, 6 shutout innings. And then against Arizona and Seattle, he's 4 of the 5 teams he is. Even Arizona is not a crazy good offense, though it was in Arizona. He's been fortunate with the matchups, I will say. And if you look at the strikeout rate, it's really bad. And that's not unexpected because he's a changeup guy. 18 strikeouts in 26 innings is not good. 14 walks against 18 strikeouts is horrible. That doesn't work. Now, again, some of that's front-loaded. He's only got 3 walks his last 2 outings. But I think that adding Thorpe was a good move. It depends on your setup and the makeup of your team, head-to-head, all these kind of things. I don't love dropping Jared Jones. I just don't. And there's no chance that we can replace Jared Jones with Drew Thorpe because he just doesn't miss bats in that way. Could we replace the ratios? Possibly, though I think, again, that's pretty aggressive. I'm really concerned with the walk rate with Thorpe, but he has been better of late. The walk rate and the fact that, honestly, he's not living enough down in the zone. His ground ball rate is 8-9% lower than it was at the minor league level, the last 2 years. Really needs to get that number up. Because he can't be allowing balls to be hit in the air. He doesn't have the stuff to go up in the zone and all that kind of things. So I get it, Rubby, but yeah. You're welcome, Doug. Jesus Luzardo in 4 spots. Yeah. So, Eric, if you have the spots, I would hold guys on the 60. But again, Jesus Luzardo, what's his official return date? Let me look this up before I speak out my butt. Been thinking about so many damn things. These all get together. So he's placed on the 60-day. He's transferred to the 60-day injured list. So it looks like mid-June. Mid-August. Mid-August, maybe the 15th to 20th. I'd probably hold Luzardo if I could. Though, again, would it be a shock if they said he's done for the season with the lumbar stress reaction? I don't think it'd be a shock. And I don't think it'd be a shock if mid-August becomes September, right? And he makes 3 starts at the end of the year just to get him out there. He's on the fence. He's on the fence. He hasn't pitched great. He's on the fence, Eric. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening today. Really appreciate it. We'll be back in tomorrow at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow for Fantasy Sports Daily, as we are every day, Monday through Friday. For some reason, as I'm saying that, it sounds so wrong. That's right, Ray. Say it. Say it with your chest. Don't forget to go to fantasyguru.com if you are involved in football to get involved with our drafters deal. We've mentioned this on the show, and I'll throw it out there again. Remember, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 30 minutes into the show, so 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesdays, we have a visit to talk football with Armando Marsal. Thursdays with Tyler Beaker, and Fridays with Russell Clay. So they'll all be on later this week to talk football. The drafters deal we have is this. It's a best ball tournament. You can win up to $2.5 million in prizes, or there are $2.5 million in prizes available. Massive win here, potentially for all of y'all. If you're already a member at Drafters, use the promo code ELITE10. That gets you a 10% match, which is really nice for a returning customer. If you've never joined or subscribed to drafters.com, use the promo code ELITE. Then you get a 100% match. So that's a really good deal. It's hard to find those anymore. Everyone signed up for DraftKings and FanDuel, and we've all blown out those promo codes and everything like that. But for Drafters Best Ball, use the promo code ELITE to get you a 100% match. If you're a new client, if you're an existing client, ELITE10 get you 10%. Yeah, pretty good. And we have a whole section of articles. Remember, Tyler Beaker doing Best Ball, including Drafters Talk. So he's got you covered there, part of the draft guide package over at fantasyguru.com. All right, thanks for listening today, folks. Really appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern PM time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I am Ray Flowers. I got to go figure out how to talk. I can write a cash game breakdown with a terrible pitching slate for July 8th. Ray Flowers, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow.